Prince Charming by Kay-Dian Edwards. There he was, standing in the corner of the room, looking to me like a prospective groom. His perfectly shaped teeth, as white as snow, complemented his smile that was as wide as River Nile. I smiled at him. I gave him my best shot. He was coming this way. I was nervous. I had not planned my next move. The butterflies in my stomach fluttered wildly, but like a beautified queen in a pageant. My smile remained intact. He was getting closer. I was fidgeting now. Then he stopped, and the butterflies in my stomach came to an abrupt halt. He stopped at her, not me. She, with her attached lashes, penciled brow, Brazilian hair, Christmas nails, and padded bra. And I wonder, where is my knight in shining armor? He was supposed to ride up on his stallion and sweep me off my feet. I am waiting for my glass slipper, but even now my feet are still cold. Where are my warm kisses to awake me from slumber? Where is my wedding, and my feast, and my happily ever after? He did not show. Now I know. Those fairy tales lied to me. Or if I am not the princess, then am I a wicked witch? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Not me. There will always be one prettier or one more talented, but that doesn't mean I am not important, that I am not the average girl. Neither do I intend to be. I never learned how to swing my hips or how to have kissable lips. I don't wear push-up, nor am I in hurry to buy pull-ups. I never learned how to bat my lashes or how to apply blushes. I can't flash my barely there nappy hair, and I definitely don't know about this Mona Lisa smile. How did they learn these things? Was it in a manual? Or was it encrypted somewhere at birth? Forgive me. I never got mine. I will not giggle and look cute when I know he speaks rubbish, or be silenced when I got something to say. But I will speak up and stand for my rights. Why not? I know I'm bright. Many women are silenced on this earth. By pain and by hurt, I speak for you. To her, who applies blush just because he said, hush, after his hot hand met her face. To her, who hides his fingerprints beneath her turtleneck, just because he sings her sweet lullabies and says it will be all right. To her who fakes smiles just to hide the fire between her thighs from the abuser who she trusted to be a hero, but turned out to be a zero. To those who fear to share because of their status quo. And those who bear just to have their share of material flair. And to those who suffer because they are threatened, terrorized, and traumatized. You were waiting on your Prince Charming, but you ended up on calming pills and herbs. You are important, you are special, and you will overcome. You're more than who they say you are. You are beautifully sculpted, and you deserve the best. So stop listening to society. Rise from belittlement, abuse, and hurt. You may never get your Prince Charming, but you can have the Prince of Peace.
Welcome, welcome, welcome on another episode of Creators Corner. I'm your host, James Dale, and with me is the beautiful, lovely Kay-Dian Edwards. How are you doing? Hailing in from Jamaica.
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for answering the call. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I am a writer. I love to write. I've been writing from I could write, but at that time I didn't really like to share my work because I was a bit shy. But I tend to like creativity. So anything to do with singing, dancing, writing. I like to plan. I like to be a part of putting on events and seeing things come to life. So like drama pieces and production pieces. I love to be very much involved in those things. I love God. So if you know me, I love God. So everything about me, everything about my life, is for Him, and I love my family. I'm a big family girl. Love my mommy. Love my entire family. So and always striving to do what pleases God, to make my family proud, and of course just to make me proud. So
Amen.
yeah.
Amen. So have you put on any productions to date?
Well, when I was younger, so younger Kay-Dian was very
Mm-hmm.
brave, and
Mm-hmm.
she did a lot of drama productions at church. So it started when I was about 13, 14, and we did some Christmas drama productions. Then we started to do it in the summer, but that was younger Kay-Dian.
So
Older Kay.
what made you
Mhm,
stop putting on productions? Because a lot of people they have ADHD, they have
mhm,
that attention. They like people are visual people. They would
mhm.
prefer to see your ideas and your imagination played out on stage or on the small or big screen. What made you, like stop, or make that transition from doing live action productions to just, writing books?
Right. So when I say productions, it's usually live. So it's not really on screen, it's live.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, unfortunately, busyness is
Mm-hmm.
not a good answer, but it's true. So
Mm-hmm.
as you grow older and you add more responsibilities, you tend to kind of pull away from certain things. So I would do the last thing that I did wasn't a production per se, but it was a conference, and that was back in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some other things that I would do in terms of community development. For a while, I had a homework center. So a part of it was business, but a part of it was shifting the focus to where I felt led at that moment. So for a while, I had that homework center and just focusing on tutoring children and ensure that they know their stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, so other things like that. So I guess I could say I just shifted focus a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
important, thinking
Mhm,
about the next generation of creatives, next generations of
mhm.
thinkers. That is a bigger deal than to put on productions. So
Right.
tell us about your first book. I'm assuming that you have more than one book.
So I have one book so far, so it's Awestruck.
Okay.
You can right. So it's 20 amazing stories of little big miracles, and Awestruck is what it says it is. It's a book about miracles. So the 20 stories in there are actually me interviewing persons about tell me about an experience that you have had that you don't know any other way to say that you got through this, but that it was a miracle.
Mhm.
So we have stories that are small, like, oh, I prayed to God and I got some mangoes, some fruits, and then there are bigger stories there that people share that when they were sick and they received healing and the doctors couldn't find out what the reason was, but they just know that through the miraculous power of prayer, they received healings. And it brings back the word miracle back into our vocabulary because sometimes we don't realize the that we are a living miracle. Everyday thing, some things that we call them coincidences, some little everyday things that it gives you an appreciation for the smaller things in life. So that is what I was trying to do with Awestruck. Those moments when you're standing, I say, really? So that's what I was doing with Awestruck. So one book so far
Mhm.
and another book coming out soon.
Okay.
So, so
So
not
that second book, is it the same type of book as the first one? Is it more personal?
it is a little bit more personal, So lately I've been talking a lot about worth,
Mhm.
and there is a reason for that why I've been talking a lot about worth because the next book when it comes out, it has a lot to do with worth. knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a society like this where persons tend to try and obtain approval by what people say. You watch something on TV and you want to be like that person, and then you feel bad about yourself when you can't live up to the world standard. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a book realigning us to move away from stop trying to please everybody, stop trying to be like everybody else, but who are you created to be? So it has that part of it, and uh, um, it has also to do with finding true love.
Mm-hmm.
But true love, not in terms of looking for the perfect Prince Charming, like in a fairy tale story,
Mm-hmm.
but but loving yourself and loving God, because you know you have to know how to love yourself first, right?
You have to set the foundation. So the
Yeah.
best way to do it is to have
Hmm.
self-love and to
Right.
appreciate the creator and the creation that the
Hmm.
creator have put forth.
Right.
And if you don't appreciate yourself, you can't love anybody. Anybody who will tell you that they love you and they don't love themselves or they're depressed and they're not loving you.
Right. Right. So
Looking
you have
for
too many persons.
somebody to help them along. It's
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
transitional thing. So what inspired you to write?
What inspired me to write? That's how I express myself. So
Hmm.
from I could say from a younger age, I've always been journaling and
Hmm.
I've always been just writing poems, and because that is how I felt I could really say what I needed to. I was not always a direct person
Hmm.
or confrontational. I was not always able to express myself in words, like talking to people.
Hmm.
But I was always able to express myself through writing. And for me, it was therapy
Hmm.
because I realized that when I write, I feel better. When I
Hmm.
write, I can say anything that I want to say. And even when you think about just writing something fiction, when you write, you can be whoever you want to be and be
Correct.
wherever you want to be. I've always been somebody who's imaginative. So I have a very active imagination, which is not always something good. But so it was something fun for me to just sit down and write and create. You're bringing things to life.
Right,
So
right. So, is there a specific piece that you have that's been included in any anthology, you've published in any newspaper, or featured in any recording, JTV, or anything like that to date,
today,
outside of Awestruck?
um, so recently I started writing for a faith-based a faith-based media network. It's called Noble Media Network, and I have an article, a blog published on there. That is the first time I'm doing something like that. So I'm very proud of that because I'm getting good feedback, and that also is along the line of worth
Mhm.
and being secure in who you are. Other than that, I believe I've perhaps one or so time read a poem on the radio, but in terms of publication, that is the only ones to date, but there's more coming.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Mhm.
So, you mentioned the newsletter. Which came first, the newsletter position or the new book that you have coming out, that is
Um,
based in having self-worth and
the new book, the
a
new
new
book.
book? Okay.
Right. So it's not published yet. It's still in the process of being editing and all of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that was completed first.
Okay. Okay. Do you have a
Mhm.
working title or do you not want to release that title yet?
I don't want to say it as yet.
Okay. You mentioned poetry. That is, my genre of choice. How many
Hmm.
poems do you have, and have you ever considered publishing your poems?
Um, Listen, I like to write,
Mhm.
but I'm not as confident in doing poem. I think when you're able to do poetry, it's such a masterpiece and how you play with the words and all of that. So it's taken me a bit of time. I have one piece that I will include in the new book.
Hmm.
I think I did open mic twice.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't consider myself to be as confident in poetry as writing. But I've done quite a few. Um, yeah, I've done quite a few.
Okay. Hopefully, I can convince you to give me one of your favorites so I can include in this interview, whether it's in the beginning or in the end, so people can get a small glimpse of your writing style and who you are as a
Well, that I
individual.
think that's possible. I think that's possible.
Okay, so you mentioned starting groups. You said you have a homework
Hmm.
um, thing where you do with kids and try to encourage them to put the best foot forward. Have you ever considered having a writers group or workshop with persons like yourself in the community that otherwise wouldn't want to express themselves because they're shy as well, but you know that people are creatives and they work a day job just like yourself and
Hmm.
myself, and that is the outlet, but nobody knows. Have you ever considered that?
You know, yes, but not but it's something that has crossed my mind, but
Mm.
it was not something that I allowed to mature enough to do it. But now that I'm hearing it out of your mouth, somehow it sounds like something I could do. Um, so I'm currently not tutoring now.
Mm.
Uh, but I have been thinking about that lately in terms of how can I use my skills, how can I use my talent to help the next generation, especially me being who I was, the person that's shy, and when somebody hear me talk, no, they're like, you can't talk. But but yes, so that has crossed my mind, but I've not allowed it to mature.
Mm.
But I really do think that that is something that I should dive into, and I'm going to give it some more thought. So thanks for even bringing that.
Yeah, because I've done quite a few interviews. Like I said, I do poetry and going out in the community and doing open mics and
Mm-hmm,
book signing events. You have a lot of people that, although they are
mm-hmm,
public authors, although they've
right.
been to open mics, they still have that shyness about them,
Mm-hmm,
and they don't bring out everything outside of their comfort zone because they're afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of people misjudging them. They're afraid of
mm-hmm,
people telling them why don't they change this, that, and the third. Even with editing, if you, I'm sure you gone through that because you have a published book when you solicited your editor and he suggested or she suggested certain things. It was kind of cringeworthy to say, I really don't want to change that aspect
mm-hmm, yeah,
because
yeah.
that is a piece of me. We don't want to kill our darlings, but to see somebody like yourself who's out there, who's a part of the community, who look like the people that you would be subsequently performing in front of, it would make people come out of their shell a lot more. Like you said, people thought that you were an introvert and you couldn't talk and you was kind of mutish, but being that you had that time with yourself and you built the foundation with
Mm-hmm,
the Almighty, that you are uber confident in who you are, and that is a great thing to showcase in the community to allow
yeah.
people to express themselves. So, hats off to you to taking the plunge and doing the work in the community, because I know that it only takes one person to spark the mind
Mm-hmm,
of other people. I always say, inspire one to reach one so each one can teach one, because
right.
when you start with yourself, you look into the mirror and you understand your flaws, you understand what makes you tick, then you can go through the world putting your best foot forward. And people, you don't know that people watch you. You don't know that people looking
True. That's so true.
and want you to succeed to the point that it inspire them to pick up something that would inspire them to be greater than who they are. So you're
Yeah.
doing great things and you're reaching a lot more people than you think. So kudos to you. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing in the community. You are more important than you think you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So, are there any programs that you joined
Hmm.
before you published your first book that helped you get over your shyness, or did you just did it do it on cold turkey?
I did it afraid. I did
Okay.
it afraid.
Mhm,
When I tried to do it, that was in the lockdown period. So we were smack in the middle of COVID.
mhm,
And I believe that it was the right time, the right season to send out some positive message of, hey, good things are still happening. Because that
mhm,
was a time of fear, you know. Everybody was wondering what's next, what is going to happen. So
mhm,
I felt like God really wanted me to share this with the world that miracles still happen. There's still
mhm,
tomorrow.
mhm,
So I did not I did not have a group or anything at that time.
mhm,
But I just started. I just started. I remember there were two, somebody introduced me to two authors and I spoke with them and asked them, how did you do this? Give me some advice. And had a one phone call with them each. Looked through some books that I wanted to. So I looked through some books that I think that my book would be aligned with to see what they did and research that. And then I went ahead and I did it afraid. So told my brother, he was like big help to everything. He motivated me. My mommy pushed me forward and said, let's do this. So, you know, um, I believe that them with them, I could do anything. So yeah.
That's good. You have a foundation. And before we sign out, I'm gonna share something, but
Mhm,
I'm going to first ask you where can persons find your works to purchase your book?
mhm. All right, so you can go to Amazon.
Mhm,
So you just look for Kay-Dian Edwards. So it's
mhm,
Kay, then there's a dash, Dian Edwards. So if you put in Kay-Dian Edwards Awestruck, then you'll see me come up and you can purchase it directly on Amazon. You can also find me Facebook, Instagram, Kay-Dian Edwards, and you can send me a direct message. And yeah, I can get one to you. I also have the Kindle version. So if you don't want the hard copy, you can get the Kindle version from Amazon. If you're in Jamaica, just reach out to me and we will I'll get one to you. Yeah.
okay. Okay, that's great. So creativity, it is in the blood, it's in the family. So,
Hmm.
my audience, if you don't know, Kay-Dian Edwards is my cousin, my first cousin to
Hmm.
be exact. And I'm going to share with you
Hmm.
a story that I'm quite sure you don't know. So,
Hmm.
mom, my aunt, is my father's favorite sister, or was my father's favorite sister. He passed on.
Nice.
And
You're making people jealous now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So she went out to Canada,
Hmm.
and my dad went out to the US, and they corresponded because they had a really good relationship. And my mom and your mother were good friends in Canada,
Hmm.
and that's how they met through your mother. So if it wasn't for your mother, I wouldn't
Hmm.
be here.
Ah.
So that's just a little tidbit story of our relationship. And
Hmm.
because I appreciate you lending your time, I know you're a busy lady, you're at work, and you gave me a little sliver of your time share with my audience, and I appreciate you. So one last thing before we sign off, is there any words of wisdom that you would have for my audience before we go?
All right, so I just want the audience to know that here's the thing. We all have talents. There is something that all of us can do. Do it. Do it afraid. Don't watch everybody else. There is room for all of us to succeed. There's room for all of us to do what we're good at.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time.